Hello and welcome. My name is Richard. Motes and beams. What was Jesus talking about? Can I modernize the terminology a bit? And we'll say splinters and logs. Just so we're a bit clearer about what's been spoken about. This parable is about the Christian life. This parable is about what Christianity is about. This parable is about, are we walking in the flesh or are we walking in the Spirit? This parable is about is the law of the Spirit of life which is in Christ Jesus, making us free from the law of sin and death. This parable is about, are we in the Spirit or are we in the flesh? Are we in the law of the Spirit of life or are we under the law of sin and death? Let's read the parable, work our way through it and have a wee look. So Matthew 7, starting at verse 1. Judge not, that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And with what measure you mete out, it will be measured to you again. And why do you behold the mote that is in your brother's eye? So here's this person thinking they're quite a few years down the track, super spiritual. And they can tell the brother, the sister, that's struggling and still in the flesh and haven't found the liberty which is in walking in the Spirit in Christ. And they can see by the way they dress and talk, the things, places they hang out, the things they do, that those things are like these splinters, these motes. That they are so spiritual that they can tell that they're not through where they ought to be, and they're not going hard out for God like they ought to be. So why do you behold the mote, this little splintery bit, this splinter? It's broken off a log and it's in their eye there. And you thinking you're super spiritual can see it. Why has this person got a splinter in their eye? Because there's a log there as well. And the splinters come off the log. But this person, they've seen the splinter in their brother's eye. But they don't consider the beam that is in their own eye. And they haven't considered the beam that is in the weaker brother's eye, the one with the splinter. And the reason why they haven't seen the beam that's caused the splinters is because they don't recognize the log, this beam that is in their own eye. This judgmental person is not, who is works-based, is not walking in the Spirit. In other words, they've still got a log in their own eye. The log in the eye is when we're still in the flesh, being usually hyper-religious and hyper works focused and hyper activity, and thinking if everyone else was as devoted and hard working at the things of God as they were, well then, the whole world would be converted to Christ years ago. But this person, this judgmental one, who was all works and no empathy and grace, That's their log that's in their eye, because they have not come into the law of the Spirit of life, which is in Christ Jesus, which makes them free from the law of sin and death. Because they highly polish their life, they make clean the outside of their sepulchre, and they clean the outside of the cup and saucer, and they recognize that this weaker one, they're not keeping the outside of their sepulchre clean. They're not polishing the cup and the saucer on the outside. So what does the Lord say? But you consider not the log that is in your own eye, this judgmental one. They've got a massive log in there, and they're complaining about the splinter in their brother's eye. How can you say to your brother, let me pull out that mote out of thine eye, that splinter out of your eye, and behold, a beam is in your own eye? When you're in works, when you're a religious fanatic, Christian religious fanatic, you don't know how to get people out of the flesh and into the spirit. All you know is how to produce people that are under burden of works, and under burden and burnout of hard works. This judgmental person, they're no help to others because they haven't helped themselves yet. If they knew what it was to be walking in the Spirit, if they knew what it was to have the life and power of Christ in them, they wouldn't be criticizing a person for their minor failings. They'd know that the secret of getting the splinter out of a person's eye is getting the log out. Once you've got the log out, then there wouldn't be any more splinters happening. But they've not got the log out of their own eye, and they work so hard to cover up and cover over any splinters that might appear. And that's the level of their religion. So Jesus says, you don't know how to walk the spiritual life yourself. How are you going to teach another person to walk the spiritual life? And all you're doing is being petty at their minor failings. Jesus says, you hypocrite. If you really want to help people, you've got to first cast out the beam, the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to cast the smote splinter out of your brother's eye. And when we're walking in the Spirit, we don't thrash people, we have empathy. When we're walking in the Spirit, we know a person's need if they've got splinters everywhere. It's not that they need to try harder, work harder, read more, pray more. We know their need is the surrender of faith and believing in the grace that is theirs in Christ. We know reformation, internal reformation, comes through faith. We know we're circumcised in our hearts through faith. And we walk in the Spirit through faith. But the judgmental person hasn't got that far yet. But when we have got that far, we know we need to feed people with Christ, feed people with forgiveness, feed people with the love of God, so their hearts are turned. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content, and go well. Have a good day. Bye. Bye.